House Speaker Jim Jordan? We're about to find out live. Hello, this is Robert Romano, Vice President of Public Policy with Americans for Limited Government, dailytorch.com. Hit that subscribe button. Today, we're going to be talking about the House of Representatives. They are having an election right now. This is actually a quorum call for the speaker election that's upcoming, but they appear to have a quorum and are ready to proceed to the floor with the nominations and and speakers on the on this process that's unfolded thanks to 8 House Republicans led by Matt Gaetz, who wanted to unseat and vacate the chair of former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. It's a rather unprecedented move. In fact, it's never happened before. But here we are now, a couple of weeks later. And first, Steve Scalise was going to be the Republican nominee, then he withdrew. And now Jim Jordan is the Republican nominee on the floor. Jim Jordan's been in Congress since 2006. He kind of led the Tea Party in 2010 on the House side and in 2011, which ultimately culminated in the debt deal between John Boehner and Barack Obama that reduced discretionary spending via a process called sequestration. That was a victory for the Tea Party and for House conservatives like Jim Jordan. For that held the line on federal spending. And it was similar to the same deal that Kevin McCarthy brokered with Joe Biden recently with the debt ceiling and sequestration. Now, the current sequestration is set to go into effect automatically if no action is taken by Congress on all of these appropriations bills. If you're going into next year, there are some cuts coming forward, and so do you want Jim Jordan there to be the one that's going to be representing the House of Representatives? Do you want Jim Jordan to be the one who's going to be, kind of Speaker of the House and therefore the only check and balance against Joe Biden right now? President in the elected branches, at least. Obviously, the Supreme Court is a check. Article 3 courts are a check on President Biden, but so is Article 1. And Congress and the House of Representatives, 54.5 million Americans voted for a Republican majority in 2022. And so we're going to find out if that impresses the Republican majority to therefore make Jim Jordan the Speaker of the House. He could be a few votes short, however, as once again there are holdouts against whoever seems to be nominated by the Republican conference. They don't have a rule in place to compel members as the condition for being a member of the conference to support the party's nominee for Speaker on the floor of the House. And in fact, it was a motion to vacate by a single member that was brokered as a part of Kevin McCarthy becoming House Speaker in the first place back in 2023, early January. You had a pretty big fight, more than 15 ballots, 15 ballots, I think it was, for Kevin McCarthy to get there. And so, how many ballots will it take Jim Jordan to get across the finish line here, and get where he wants to be vis-a-vis this election? And so I guess I could turn on the sound here.
32 members have recorded their presence. The next order of business is the election of speakers of the House of Representatives for the 118th Congress. Nominations are now in order. The chair now recognizes the gentlewoman from New York, Ms. Stefanik.
Mr. Speaker Pro Temp, Madam Clerk, colleagues, on behalf of the House Republican Conference, I rise today to nominate the gentleman from Ohio, Jim Jordan, as Speaker of the People's House.
Yay! I'm actually cheering because Americans for Limited Government, we have endorsed Jim Jordan to be Speaker of the House. We recommend that you use you can actually send letters
We
to
are at a
members
time
of Congress.
of great crisis across America, a time of historic challenges in this very chamber, and a time when heinous acts of terror and evil have been committed against our great ally, Israel. As this body convenes for the sacred responsibility to elect the next Speaker of the People's House, I am reminded of the Book of Esther. For such a time as this. Jim Jordan will be America's Speaker for such a time as this. A time when hardworking American families are struggling under the vice of inflation, not able to afford groceries, heat, or gas because of the trillions and trillions of dollars of reckless spending by failed far-left government. A time when millions are being illegally trafficked and smuggled across our southern and northern borders due to the catastrophic and inhumane wide-open borders of Joe Biden. A time when violent crime is skyrocketing across America, destroying our great cities, suburbs, and small towns, where people no longer feel safe in their homes or in their communities. A time when American energy production has been crushed by Joe Biden's radical, failed, far-left policies, causing seniors, farmers, and families to pay more at the pump and struggle with skyrocketing utility bills. A time when the federal government is weaponized against we the people, who they are supposed to serve, stripping us of our God-given constitutional rights and wrongfully targeting conservatives, Catholics, and even parents at school board meetings. And a time when the people of our closest and most precious ally, Israel, suffered the bloodiest day since the Holocaust, with acts of inhumane evil committed by Hamas terrorists backed by Iran, grotesque atrocities, the beheadings of babies, rapes, kidnappings, and slaughter of women, children, and the elderly, and Israelis and Americans taken hostage. We are here in this very chamber for such a time as this. Jim Jordan will be We the People Speaker for such a time as this. Our friend and colleague Jim Jordan is a patriot. He is an America First warrior who wins the toughest of fights, going after corruption and delivering accountability at the highest levels of government on behalf of we the people. Jim is the voice of the American people who have felt voiceless for far too long. Whether as Judiciary Chair, conservative leader, or representative for his constituents in West Central Ohio, whether on the wrestling mat or in the committee room, Jim Jordan is strategic, scrappy, tough, and principled. He is a mentor, a worker, and above all, he is a fighter. And the American people know, we know, that Jim Jordan is a winner on behalf of the American people. Almost 10 years ago, many of us sat with our colleague Jim Jordan in this very chamber when Prime Minister Netanyahu delivered his historic joint address, which some of our colleagues across the aisle shamefully boycotted. Bibi pointed out that in this very chamber, we serve under the watchful gaze of Moses. He said, quote, "Overlooking all of us in this chamber is the image of Moses. And before the people of Israel entered the land of Israel, Moses gave us a message that has steeled our resolve for thousands of years. Be strong and resolute, neither fear nor dread them." He went on to say, "My friends, may Israel and America always stand together, strong and resolute. May we neither fear nor dread the challenges ahead. May we face the future with confidence, strength, and hope." End quote. On behalf of the American people, let's face the future with confidence, strength, and hope. Let's elect Jim Jordan, our Speaker of the People's House, for such a time as this. And I yield back.
Gentlewoman yields back. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from California, Mr. Aguilar.
Mr. Speaker Pro Tem, with great respect
That
for
was
this
Elise
institution,
Stefanik of
as
New York
chairman of the
State.
Democratic
She's the
Caucus, I
House
am
Republican
directed by the
Conference
vote of
Chair.
that
Here's
caucus
Pete Aguilar,
to present for
Caucus
election
Chair
to
of
the
the
office of
Democrats.
the Speaker of the House of Representatives,
California,
the
dirty
name of the Honorable Hakeem Jeffries, the pride of Crown Heights, a representative from the state of New York.
That was mercifully short. Say yay for, keeping it pithy. Let's get on with it. All right, so we're going to go vote now. I think that's it. Also, we're going to control the floor.
Mr. Speaker
Here
Pro
we go.
Tem, this is not the history we wanted to make here in the House. It's something that none of us
So much for
imagined
keeping it
when we were
pithy.
sworn in to this office. We are here because the House has been thrown into chaos. We are here because this hallowed chamber has been led to a breaking point by two dangerous forces: extremism and partisanship. The American people place their faith in us to tackle their most pressing issues: lowering costs, growing the middle class, and standing up to those set on delivering a national abortion ban. The choice before us is simple: come together on a bipartisan path forward, or take us over the cliff. Abandon the extremism that is preventing us from getting things done, or triple down on division and dysfunction. A vote today to make the architect of a nationwide abortion ban a vocal election denier and an insurrection insider to the Speaker of this House would be a terrible message to the country and our allies. Mr. Speaker, it would send an even more troubling message to our enemies, that the very people who would seek to undermine democracy are rewarded with positions of immense power. We are talking about someone who has spent his entire career trying to hold our country back, putting our national security in danger, attempting government shutdown after government shutdown, wasting taxpayer dollars on baseless investigations with dead ends, authoring the very bill that would ban abortion nationwide without exceptions, and inciting violence on this chamber. Even leaders of his own party have called him a legislative terrorist. He once said, quote, "I didn't come to Congress to make more laws." His words speak for themselves. When New Yorkers recovering from Hurricane Sandy needed Congress to act, he said no. When wildfires ravaged the West, destroying homes and businesses, and those residents needed disaster assistance, he said no. When the Mississippi River floods devastated the South and communities across state lines needed Congress to act, he said no. When our veterans were suffering from disease and dying as a result of their service to our country, and Congress passed a bipartisan solution, he said no. When our ally in Ukraine looked to Congress for additional support to help defeat Putin, he said no. And just before Hamas's brutal terrorist attack on Israel, he said no to fully funding military aid for our ally. This body is debating elevating a speaker nominee who has not passed a single bill in 16 years. These are not the actions of someone interested in governing or bettering the lives of everyday Americans. This is nothing less than the rejection of the oath that we swore to uphold as duly elected members of this body. But on this side of the aisle and throughout this chamber, I'm convinced our oath still matters. To fulfill our obligations to the American people, we have no choice today but to vote for a leader of both character and conviction. When the Congress first began, we proudly stood next to him as our leader and made a promise to every American. House Democrats would work to find common ground on the issues that matter most to the American people whenever possible. That we would stand up to extremism whenever necessary. Only Hakeem Jeffries can be trusted to keep his word. Only Hakeem Jeffries can lead us out of the chaos and towards a path of governance. It brings me immense pride to nominate our friend, the Democratic leader, Hakeem Jeffries, as Speaker. I'm not done yet.
Not done yet. No, they're like, no, finished.
He may just be the candidate with the most votes, but he is also the candidate with the most credibility. If the goal is to continue a 30-year march to hollow out our democratic institutions, weaken our democracy, and embolden extremists, there's a candidate for you. If the goal is to continue taking marching orders from a twice impeached former president with more than 90 pending felony charges, then there is a candidate for you. The world is watching, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. Our allies in Ukraine and Israel are watching and waiting. So let's have this vote, but let's be clear. A vote for the gentleman from Ohio is a vote to turn your back on national security. It's a vote to turn your back on a bipartisan path to fund the government and avoid shutdowns, something we can only do if we reject his nomination. House Democrats are in the minority. We realize that. If House Republicans wanted to elect a speaker without us, then they could have. There is still a path forward for both Democrats and Republicans to come together to elect a speaker who can unite us behind a common purpose. Keeping the government open on a bipartisan compromise that won more than 300 votes just 4 months ago in this chamber.
Well, that doesn't sound like a
Taking
Republican
up or down
majority.
vote on help so Israel can defeat Hamas and Ukraine can defeat Putin.
Democrats are
And
trying to make
reassuring
a
the
deal
American
with some
people
Republicans
that their
to steal the
legislators
gavel.
have their backs.
Watch out,
It's that
guys.
simple, Mr. Speaker, and we can do it today.
Just
Let's work
5
together.
Republicans could
Let's
do it.
elect a speaker who will reach out a hand of bipartisanship and deliver for the American people. That is why, once again, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem, I'm proud to nominate Hakeem Jeffries for Speaker and yield back.
Here we go. Now, are they going to debate? I wonder if they're going to debate now. Like, are we going to have like 4 speeches go on for an hour, and then we vote, or is that it? Let's just vote. What do you guys say? Should they debate more or should they vote?
The gentleman yields back. The gentleman yields back. The names of the Honorable Jim Jordan, a representative from the state of Ohio, and the Honorable Hakeem Jeffries, a representative from the state of New York, have been placed in nomination. Are there further nominations? There being no further nominations, the chair appoints the following tellers. The gentleman from Wisconsin, Mr. Stile. The gentleman from New York, Mr. Morelli. The gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Loudermilk. The gentlewoman from Alabama, Ms. Sewell. The tellers will come forward and take their seats at the desk in front of the speaker's rostrum.
All right. Well, they seem to be pausing and getting prepared for the election. Once again, I'm not certain if they're going to do 4 speeches or not, or if they just go straight to the vote. But this is interesting. Thank you for everyone who's watching. This is Robert Romano, Vice President of Public Policy with Americans for Limited Government, dailytorch.com. Hit the subscribe button. We're watching the election of Jim Jordan, potentially as Speaker of the House. There might be a vote and they'll give him the gavel and then he'll give a victory speech. That'd be pretty cool. But he might be a few votes short. Anything can happen. It took a number of ballots for Kevin McCarthy to get the gavel. A lot of compromises have to be made in order to get members to want to work together as a functional unit rather than turning their fire inwards and destroying their majority, potentially. Democrats are appealing to a few moderate House Republicans, some of whom have spoken already about potential coalition government should Jim Jordan be unable to secure the votes. Quite honestly, and obviously that would be a catastrophe for Republicans, 54.5 million of whom voted for a Republican majority in 2022. So there's a lot at stake right now. Matt Gaetz and the other 7 House Republicans who vacated Speaker McCarthy, they took a gamble. They're taking a risk. And history is determined by the outcomes. And we're about to find out what the outcome of deposing McCarthy was. Do you get a more conservative speaker? I'd personally be surprised. I'm surprised Jim Jordan, honestly, is the nominee. We support Jim Jordan. Please, in the chat, you'll see the link to support Jim Jordan for House Speaker. You can send your email to your member of the House of Representatives, telling them who you want them to vote for. I think this is obviously this is a great opportunity for Republicans to get a conservative speaker, somebody who will negotiate with the Democrats. They're going to have to in the Senate and in the White House. But who do you want doing that negotiation? Kevin McCarthy? Or would you rather have Jim Jordan? In this case, there could be a new speaker, Jim Jordan. And again, he's been long a leader in the Tea Party movement. He founded the House Freedom Caucus. And, we're very proud to support Jim Jordan for House Speaker. And we look forward to seeing these votes. Hopefully there's just one vote and we get a new speaker because there's urgent business that needs to be attended to. The national debt will be exceeding $50 trillion by 2033.
House come to order.
$100 trillion by 2037 by my own calculations, 8% growth per year.
The roll will now
Running
be
out of
called,
time.
and those responding to their names will indicate by surname the nominee of their choosing. The reading clerk will now call the roll.
Adams. Jeffries. Adderholt. Jordan. Aguilar. Jeffries.
It's on.
Alford.
Jim Jordan.
Jordan.
So all you need is all the Republicans to
Allen.
vote for Jordan, then Jim Jordan's the speaker.
Jordan. Allred.
So see if he made enough
Jeffries.
compromises, made enough deals
Amodei.
to get this done in one go.
Jordan.
What do you guys think's going to happen? Do you think he gets it on the
Armstrong.
first ballot?
Jordan.
Let me know in the chat. You
Arrington.
think it takes more than one ballot?
Jordan. Auchincloss.
We can get a little pool going.
Jeffries. Babin. Jordan. Bacon. McCarthy.
Oh no, one for McCarthy.
Baird. Jordan. Balderson.
Jordan can
Jordan.
only afford to lose 4 votes.
Ballant. Jeffries.
Now, if 2 members vote present, then the
Banks.
threshold gets lowered by 1.
Jordan. Barr. Jordan. Bedagan. Jeffries. Bean of Florida. Jordan. Beatty. Jeffries. Bentz. Jordan. Barra. Jeffries. Bergman.
You guys nervous?
Jordan.
Should be.
Fire. Jeffries.
It would be it would be a
Vice.
catastrophe if Republicans lost
Jordan.
the House floor. All the
Biggs.
committees would need to be reorganized. Jim Jordan is their best,
Bilirakis.
in my view, last hope to keep the House majority.
Bilirakis.
So basically, right now, the House of Representatives is too close to call.
Bishop of Georgia.
Election of 2022 is now once again up in the air
Jeffries.
because we don't know who the House
Bishop
Speaker
of
is going to
North
be and which
Carolina.
party he's going to represent. Will it be
Jordan.
Jim Jeffries, Democrat,
Blumenauer.
or Jim Jordan, Republican? Republicans got more members,
Jeffries.
but it's a very slim majority. It's just
Blunt
a 5-seat
Rochester.
majority. If 5 people vote against
Jeffries.
Jordan from the Republican side, Jim
Boebert.
Jordan will have to go back for more ballots, make more deals, and probably have
Jordan.
more closed-door conference meetings.
Bonamici.
Hopefully all these things were settled
Jeffries.
behind closed
Last.
doors. I'm sure that Kevin McCarthy,
Jordan.
who has been a vocal
Bowman.
supporter of Jim Jordan, has been
Jeffries.
helping to get the
Royal of
Republicans
Pennsylvania.
to kind of go along with this.
Jeffries.
That he's not going to be
Rakeen.
speaker anymore, but Jim Jordan is
Jordan.
going to be, provided House Republicans do
Brown.
their jobs and
Jeffries.
and elect a Republican
Brownlee.
speaker The American people expect a
Jeffries.
Republican majority to be able to
Buchanan.
assert their prerogatives against the
Jordan.
executive branch. There's a pending
Buck.
impeachment. Jim Jordan can lead that impeachment of Joe Biden.
Buck.
Not going to get a better chance than this, and not a fiercer fighter
Bouchon.
for freedom and liberty.
Jordan.
Jim Jordan will stop
Budzinski.
weaponization of government. Jim
Jeffries.
Jordan, he could have something to say about what we're going to do about FISA reform.
Jordan.
When FISA reform comes up at the end of this year, you
Burgess.
want Jim Jordan to be,
Jordan.
fighting against the
Burleson.
deep state and to take on
Jordan.
the weaponization of government,
Bush.
the DOJ against former President Donald
Jeffries.
Trump. You're not going to get a better shot than
Calvert.
this. You're not going to get a better shot
Jordan.
at a conservative speaker probably in your lifetimes.
Kamek.
Jim Jordan,
Jordan.
his entire career comes down, I think, to this
Caraballo.
moment. And he's doing pretty good
Jeffries.
so far. Just one holdout.
Carbajal.
Just keep it at one.
Jeffries. Cardenas. Cardenas.
That's right. Everyone in the chat, please use the link in the
Carey.
description.
Jordan.
I'm not in the description. I should have put it in the
Carl.
description. It's in the chat. I'll just post it again.
Jordan. Carson. Jeffries. Carter of Georgia. Jordan. Of Louisiana.
So far, so good.
Cartwright. Jeffries. Kassar. Jeffries. Case. Jeffries. Caston.
Hit that link in the
Jeffries.
chat, and you can support Jim
Pastor
Jordan.
of Florida.
Either thank your members
Jeffries.
for supporting Jim Jordan,
Castro
blame
of
them for
Texas.
being in the wrong party.
Jeffries.
If you happen to have a Democrat representative, I
Chavez
suppose,
DeRemer.
not voting for Jim Jordan. Or if
McCarthy.
you just happen to have one of these holdouts. Oh no, now there's two holdouts. Not good, guys.
Shearfillis McCormick. Jeffries. Chu.
All Republicans stick together for
Jeffries.
Jordan. Well,
Siscomani.
we'll see.
Jordan. Clark of Massachusetts. Jeffries. Clark of New York. Jeffries. Cleaver. Jeffries. Klein. Jordan. Cloud. Jordan. Clyburn. Jeffries. Clyde. Jordan. Cohen. Jeffries. Cole. Jordan.
That's
Collins.
a huge pickup right there.
Jordan.
Tom Cole,
Comer.
just yesterday, I think, was in the no
Jordan.
column. But Republican
Connolly.
leadership now is uniformly supporting Jim Jordan to be the
Jeffries.
next House Speaker.
Correa. Jeffries. Costa. Jeffries. Courtney. Jeffries. Craig. Jeffries. Crane. Jordan. Crawford. Jordan. Crenshaw. Jordan. Crockett. Jeffries. Crow. Jeffries. Cuellar. Jeffries. Curtis. Jordan. Davids of Kansas. Jeffries. Davidson. Jordan. Davis of Illinois. Jeffries. Davis of North Carolina. Jeffries. Dean of Pennsylvania. Jeffries. DeGette. Jeffries. De La Cruz. Jordan. DeLauro. Jeffries. Del Bene. Jeffries. DeLuzio. Jeffries. DeSaulnier. Jeffries. Desjardins. Jordan.
I was going to say, do members with that
D'Esposito.
names beginning with D, are they more likely to be
Zeldin.
Democrats?
Diaz-Balart.
So now you got another no vote
Please.
for Jordan. 4. He only gets one more.
Dingle. Jeffries. Doggett. Jeffries. Donalds. Jordan. Duarte. Jordan. Duncan. Jordan. Dunn of Florida. Jordan. Edwards. Jordan. Elsie. Garcia.
There you go. I don't think he has the votes. So we'll get through this round of voting, but not having the votes, the question
Emmer.
is, does the dam break now? Bunch of
Jordan.
people start saying, I'm not supporting Jordan.
Escobar.
Also of consideration is how many only
Jeffries.
committed to support him on the first ballot.
Eshu.
Are we going to have more nominations now?
Jeffries.
Are we going to go back to another House
Espaillat.
Republican conference meeting?
Jeffries. Estes.
We'll see what happens.
Jordan.
Now, 2 members vote present.
Evans. Jeffries. Ezel.
I think you lowered the threshold by 1.
Jordan.
There's still, I think,
Fallon.
some margin
Jordan.
to reduce the threshold.
Feenstra.
Is there enough members,
Jordan.
though?
Ferguson.
Let's see.
Jordan. Finstad. Jordan. Fishbach. Jordan. Fitzgerald. Jordan. Fitzpatrick. Jordan.
All right.
Fleischman. Jordan.
The 221 minus 5 is
Fletcher.
216.
Jeffries.
2 Republicans vote present.
Flood. Jordan. Foster.
That would take it down to 214
Jeffries.
to 212. Democrats
Fushi.
have 212. And the threshold,
Jeffries.
but then the threshold would be
Fox.
216.
Jordan.
So it won't work.
Lois Frankel. Jeffries. Scott Franklin. Jordan. Frost.
So if he gets to 216,
Jeffries.
almost certainly Republicans are going to go
Fry.
to another ballot. They'll start dealing out gavels
Jordan.
like they're candy.
Fulcher.
They'll rearrange kind of
Jordan.
the mid-level managers of the House of
Gates.
Representatives to offer
Jordan.
concessions to the holdouts
Gallagher.
to attempt to
Jordan.
persuade them to
Gallego.
come along.
Jeffries.
That could be happening right now
Mindy.
as they speak.
Jeffries.
Someone could come back at the end of the voting and say, I changed my
Garbarino.
vote to Jordan. We just made a deal. It's an
Zeldin.
interesting jockeying going on right now.
Mike Garcia. Jordan. Robert Garcia
Now you got 6 holdouts.
Jeffries. Garcia of Illinois Jeffries. Garcia of Texas
In this case,
Jeffries. Jimenez
Democrats cheat. In this case,
McCarthy.
Republicans are the ones deposing their own leaders. Democrats are just along for the ride. They're trying to take advantage
Golden
of
of
this
Maine.
by seizing control of the House
Jeffries.
floor, trying to peel off House Republican. Now you got 7
Goldman of
holdouts.
New York Jeffries. Gomez Jeffries. Tony Gonzalez Scalise. Vicente Gonzalez Jeffries. Good of Virginia Jordan.
So there's a headline from
Gooden of
C-SPAN.
Texas Jordan.
No member has votes to be elected.
Gosar.
Second speaker vote expected.
Jordan. Gottheimer Texas Jordan.
This could be one of those
Gosar.
examples of be careful what you wish
Jordan.
for.
Gottheimer
It's like, we want a new
Jeffries.
speaker. It's like, okay,
Granger
you have a plan to elect a new speaker. We don't have the votes.
Granger
So depending on the outcome,
Scalise
the members who deposed McCarthy will either be, maybe they're correct and you can get Jim Jordan, a more conservative speaker, but maybe not. Maybe you don't get a more conservative speaker. Maybe
Graves
Jim
of
Jordan
Louisiana.
won't be speaker. If he can't, not 9 holdouts,
Jordan.
he's got a lot of work to do.
Graves of Missouri Jordan. Green of Tennessee Jordan. Green of Texas Jeffries. Green of Georgia Jordan. Griffith Jordan. Grijalva Jeffries. Grothman Jordan. Guest Jordan. Guthrie Jordan. Hageman Jordan. Harder of California Jeffries. Harris Jordan. Harshbarger Jordan. Hayes Jeffries. Hearn Jordan. Higgins of Louisiana Jordan. Higgins of New York Jeffries. Hill Jordan. Himes Jeffries. Henson Jordan. Horsford Jeffries. Houchin Jordan.
Brian
Houlihan.
Peacock wants to know why Republicans aren't
Jeffries.
voting for Jim Jordan.
Hoyer.
Some of them are voting for members who aren't even running for speaker.
Jeffries.
It's because, for the same reason,
Hoyle of
Gates
Oregon.
and company were holding out against Kevin
Jeffries.
McCarthy. Either they
Hudson.
want concessions or they just want somebody else to be
Jordan.
speaker. We'll find out in
Huffman.
short order whether
Jeffries.
Jim Jordan ever had a chance to be House
Huizinga Jordan. Hunt Jordan. Isa Jordan. Ivy Jeffries. Jackson of Illinois Jeffries. Jackson of North Carolina Jeffries. Jackson of Texas Jordan. Jackson Lee Jeffries. Jacobs Jeffries. James James. Jayapal. Jeffries. 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 Johnson of Georgia. Jeffries. Johnson of Louisiana. Jordan. Johnson of Ohio. Jordan. Johnson of South Dakota. Jordan. Jordan. Jordan.
Yep, losing a little reception here. Hopefully we're not losing it from the, there you go. It's a lot of noise.
Joyce of Ohio. Joyce of Ohio.
Now consider the speaking, standing ovation
Joyce
for
of
Jim
Pennsylvania.
Jordan. They know he doesn't have the
Jordan.
vote right now, but they're all saying, no, we support
Cam
Jordan.
Lagerdove.
So can Jordan command the same loyalty
Jeffries.
of the House Republican
Captor.
majority that Kevin McCarthy did to get through 15 ballots? Republicans were intensely loyal to Kevin McCarthy, and that's why he became Speaker. He never gave up.
Jeffries.
So does Jim Jordan, does he have the
Kane of New
wherewithal
Jersey.
to withstand that many
Jordan.
ballots? Will he need as many
Keating.
ballots? And there's a number of
Jeffries.
holdouts here. What do they really want?
Kelly
what are
of
their voices
Illinois.
saying? What do they want from the Republican majority?
Jeffries.
They've made their determination.
Kelly of
That
Mississippi.
Jordan's the Speaker designate. The argument
Jordan.
when Kevin McCarthy was running
Kelly of
by the very
Pennsylvania.
people who are voting against Jordan right now was that
Scalise.
McCarthy was the nominee, and they had to vote for him. All the Republicans got to vote for him. What's going on? What happened to party loyalty? The same
Kana.
question now applies to these 9
Jeffries.
holdouts, 10 holdouts. Now we're up
Kiggins
to 10
of Virginia.
holdouts.
McCarthy.
This is the first ballot. Again, Kevin McCarthy did not get in on the first ballot. So
Kildee.
we're going to just have to wait and see what happens. But right now, Jim
Jeffries.
Jordan does not have the vote to
Kiley.
be House Speaker.
Jordan. Kilmer. Jeffries. Kim of California. Jordan. Kim of New Jersey. Jeffries. Krishnamurthy. Jeffries. Custer. Jeffries. Kustoff. Jordan. LaHood. Jordan. LaLota. Zeldin.
Hey, Betsy Burns. She says that once everyone gets to know Jim Jordan, they'll be happy that he's there. I guess that depends on what the members think about the priorities of the House of Representatives and the
LaMalfa.
direction of the Republican Party. For example, do they support items like impeaching Joe
LaMalfa.
Biden? Is that what's dividing the conference underneath? Do they
Lamborn.
support using spending bills
Jordan.
to get concessions from Joe Biden,
Landsman.
and Democrats, and Chuck Schumer?
Jeffries.
That's a good question. Or do they want to
Langworthy.
rubber stamp these continuing resolutions? Is
Jordan.
the appropriations crowd that's like, oh
Larson
no,
of
the
Washington.
appropriations bills are now in
Jeffries.
question. Our hold on power, the uniparty, is
Larson
going
of
crazy.
Connecticut.
So it's just the
Jeffries.
emergence of a uniparty majority. Will
Latta.
these appropriators, 12
Jordan.
holdouts now, will they go cross the aisle
Latour.
and start some unity government with
Jordan.
Democrats and just say to heck with
Lawler.
the 54.5 million Americans who voted for a Republican
McCarthy.
majority in 2022? And if so, what share of the kind of blame will go around?
Lee of
Republicans will be
California.
finger pointing. Most
Jeffries.
likely at the decision to
Lee of
close
Florida.
Kevin McCarthy. Now you're up to 13 holdouts.
Jordan.
This is a
Lee
tough
of
slog
Nevada.
for Jim Jordan. If he came in with just 5 holdouts and he only had to get 1 member, that's one thing. With
Jeffries,
13 holdouts, and he say, absolutely not, we're not voting for Jordan.
Lee of Pennsylvania. Jeffries. Ledger Fernandez. Jeffries. Lesko. Jordan. Letlow. Jordan. Levin. Jeffries.
I'm
Liu.
checking at the Hill to see if they might have a tally going on.
Jeffries. Lofgren.
Jordan falls short. All right, here's
Jeffries.
the members who have
Loudermilk.
lost more votes than he
Jordan.
can afford to as the roll call continues.
Lucas.
Don Bacon, Lori Chavez de
Jordan.
Raymer, Anthony
Lutkemeyer.
Esposito, Mario
Jordan.
Diaz-Balart, Jake
Luna.
Elizy, Andrew
Jordan.
Garbarino, Carlos
Luttrell.
Jimenez, Tony
Jordan.
Gonzalez, Kay Granger,
Lynch. Jeffries. Mace. Jordan. Magaziner. Jeffries.
Right now, there's 5 votes for
Maliotakis.
McCarthy, 3 votes for Lee Zeldin, 4
Jordan.
votes for Steve Scalise, 1 vote for
Mann.
someone Garcia.
Jordan. Manning.
Someone just
Jeffries.
said, I vote for Garcia.
Massey.
Who the hell is
Jordan.
Garcia?
Mast.
I'm looking at this. But
Jordan.
that's what it says over at
Matsui.
I'm sorry, at thehill.com.
Jeffries. McBath. Jeffries. McCarthy. Jordan.
Kevin McCarthy could be one guy to help get Jim Jordan across the finish
McCall.
line. If he does get across
Jordan.
the finish line, will be to
McLean.
persuade the holdout members that, look, I know you prefer
Jordan.
Jim Speaker, that Kevin McCarthy, but
McClellan.
we're still going to get the same priorities done. And we'll see what concessions
Jeffries.
these 13 holdouts are looking for.
McClintock.
But as it stands, you're going to need to peel
Jordan.
off 9 of them
McCullum.
in order to get Jim Jordan to be speaker. So what do these
Jeffries.
9 members want? We'll go back through their names again.
McCormick.
Don
Jordan.
Bacon of Nebraska, Lori
McGarvey.
Chavez de Raymer, Nebraska,
Jeffries.
Anthony Diaz-Balart,
McGovern.
New York, Mario
Jeffries.
Diaz-Balart, Florida,
McHenry.
Jake Elzy, Texas,
Jordan.
Andrew Garbarino, New York,
Meeks.
Carlos Jimenez, Florida, Tony
Jeffries.
Gonzalez, Texas,
Menendez.
Kay Granger, Texas. So you got
Jeffries.
Texas, New York, Florida,
Mang.
Nebraska. These are the
Jeffries.
holdout, where the holdout
Muser.
members are in the holdout
Jordan.
states. If you haven't done so already,
Mfume.
please email your member of
Jeffries.
the House of Representatives,
Miller
tell them
of
to
Illinois.
support Jim Jordan for Speaker.
Jordan.
Please do that,
Miller of Ohio.
because this is going to take a long
Jordan. Miller of West Virginia.
time. But if the members are as
Jordan.
tenacious, if they're as loyal to Jordan
Miller
as they
Meeks.
were to McCarthy,
Jordan.
then the speakership
Mills.
of Jim Jordan could be forged in fire,
Jordan.
just like McCarthy's was. But
Molinaro.
This is an incredibly weak position for the next
Jordan.
speaker to be in. McCarthy had his back up
Molinar.
against the wall from the get-go as well.
Jordan.
And so even if Jordan
Mooney.
gets it, how much can he really get
Jordan.
accomplished with just a 5-seat majority?
Moore
where
of
there were
Alabama.
13 holdouts who needed some sort
Jordan.
of concessions in order
Moore of
for this
Utah.
to get across the finish line, if it even does.
Jordan.
Again, Republicans
Moore of
are taking an
Wisconsin.
enormous risk with deposing
Jeffries.
McCarthy, because anything can happen.
Moran.
What if the 13 holdouts that
Jordan.
just said, we're voting for Jeffries?
Morelli.
It'd be over. Republican majority
Jeffries.
over. It's a risk.
Moskowitz.
It's a risk. So we'll
Jeffries.
see what happens. But still voting right now.
Moulton. Jeffries.
Jordan's in the lead, but it doesn't matter
Moran.
because there's 13 holdouts.
Jeffries.
Jeffries will get more votes in this
Mullen.
in this roll call when it's all done.
Jeffries. Murphy. Jordan. Nadler. Jeffries. Napolitano. Jeffries. Neal. Jeffries. Neguse. Jeffries. Nails. Jordan. Newhouse. Jordan. Nickel. Jeffries. Norcross. Jeffries. Norman. Jordan. None of Iowa. Jordan. Obernolte. Jordan. Ocasio-Cortez. Jeffries. Ogles. Jordan. Omar. Omar. Jeffries. Owens.
Hakeem Jeffries, that's the
Jordan.
Democrat leader, House Minority
Pallone.
Leader.
Jeffries. Palmer. Jordan. Panetta. Jeffries. Pappas. Jeffries. Pasquale. Jeffries. Payne. Jeffries.
Sandy
Pelosi.
Bryan wants to know, what the heck is wrong with you people? We can't let the
Jeffries.
Democrats win this. But they might. If Republicans vote for the Democrat,
Peltola.
or if,
Jeffries.
someone else decides, I'll be speaker, and I take my 5 Republican buddies, and we're going to be the chairman of everything, and then we'll let the Democrats have equal membership or something like that. You could see a coalition unity government emerge, and Jim Jordan won't be speaker under those circumstances. So it's an enormous risk Republicans are taking to go through this process once again. But here we are. They're no worse off than they were back
Pence.
in January
Jordan.
so far.
Perez. Jeffries. Perry. Jordan. Peters. Jeffries. Pedersen. Jeffries. Fluger. Jordan. Phillips. Jeffries. Pingree.
Tracy, Ken Buck
Jeffries.
obviously voted
Pocan.
for somebody else. I don't
Jeffries.
know. Actually, I didn't catch his vote. We'll have to
Porter.
double check that. I didn't see him
Jeffries.
actually in the list that The Hill
Posey.
published. He was a no vote yesterday.
Jordan.
But it's maybe I should
Presley.
keep my trap shut. Or you want information? All right. Let's get some information.
Jeffries.
Who are the holdouts?
Quigley.
See if we can add up to 13 here.
Jeffries. Ramirez. Jeffries. Raskin.
Don Bacon, Chavez,
Jeffries.
Raymer, Esposito,
Reschenthaler.
Diaz-Balart, Elsie,
Jordan.
Garbarino, Jimenez, Gonzalez.
Rogers of
1, 2,
Washington.
3, 4, 5,
Jordan.
6, 7, 8, 9.
Rogers of Alabama.
There are 9 holdouts, but there
Jordan.
are 13 people who voted against Jordan.
Rogers of Kentucky.
So I can't tell you how Buck voted.
Jordan.
We'll be keeping our eyes peeled for that because he had been a no vote. Maybe Jim
Rose.
Jordan was able to persuade him.
Jordan. Rosendale. Jordan. Ross. Jeffries. Rouser. Jordan. Roy. Jordan. Ruiz. Jeffries. Ruppersberger. Jeffries. Rutherford. Scalise.
It's 14. That's Rutherford.
Ryan. Jeffries. Salazar. Jordan.
Now you got to peel off 10 members.
Salinas. Jeffries. Sanchez. Jeffries. Santos. Jordan. Sarbanes. Jeffries. Scalise. Jordan.
Little report for Speaker the Week. The Republican leadership is uniformly supporting Jim Jordan for Speaker. So we'll see if they get the same unity for Jim Jordan as they did for Kevin McCarthy to get through however many ballots it takes to make him the Speaker.
Scanlon. Jeffries. Schakowsky. Jeffries. Schiff.
Tracy, great question.
Jeffries.
McCarthy cannot transfer
Schneider.
his votes to Jordan. Rules do not allow
Jeffries.
it. They can vote for anyone they want. They can vote for
Skolton.
Mickey Mouse. They can vote for Donald Trump.
Jeffries. Schreier. Jeffries. Schweikert. Jordan. Austin Scott. Jordan.
Austin Scott, who stood against Jim Jordan in the conference,
David Scott.
voted for Jordan.
Jeffries. Scott of Virginia. Jeffries. Self. Jordan. Sessions. Jordan. Sewell. Jeffries. Sherman. Jeffries. Sherrill. Jeffries. Simpson. Scalise. Slotkin. Jeffries. Smith of Missouri. Jordan. Smith of Nebraska. Jordan. Smith of New Jersey. Jordan. Smith of Washington. Jeffries. Smucker. Jordan. Sorensen. Jeffries. Soto. Jeffries. Spanberger. Jeffries. Sparts. Sparts. Stansbury. Jeffries. Stanton. Jeffries. Stauber. Jordan. Steele. Jordan. Stefanik. Jordan. Style. Jordan. Stubbe. Jordan. Stevens. Jeffries. Strickland. Jeffries. Strong. Jordan. Swalwell. Jeffries. Sykes. Jeffries.
Rena Roger Hughes
Takano.
says, this is downright scary. This is like watching robbers rob a neighborhood in broad
Jeffries.
daylight. Quite possible.
Tenney.
Democrats could steal the floor.
Jordan. Tanadar. Jeffries. Thompson of California. Jeffries. Thompson of Mississippi. Jeffries. Thompson of Pennsylvania. Jordan. Tiffany. Jordan. Timmons. Jordan. Titus. Jeffries. Talib. Jeffries. Takuda. Jeffries. Tonko. Jeffries. Torres of California.
Tracy says
Jeffries.
it's Republicans handing it to the
Torres
Democrats. No
of New
logic.
York.
Well, in this case,
Jeffries.
Jeffries isn't going to get the votes either. So I'm alluding to what if the 15
Trahan.
holdouts just can't make a deal with Republican
Jeffries.
leadership to have a Republican
Trone.
speaker? What happens then?
Jeffries.
So maybe third
Turner.
ballot, fourth ballot, fifth ballot. This goes on for a
Jordan.
while. Do members break off and say, let's make
Underwood.
coalition government?
Jeffries. Valadeo. Jordan. Van Drew. Jordan. Van Dyne. Jordan. Van Orden. Jordan. Vargas. Jeffries. Vasquez. Jeffries. VC. Jeffries. Velasquez. Jeffries. Wagner. Jordan. Wahlberg. Jordan. Waltz. Jordan. Wasserman Schultz. Jeffries. Waters. Jeffries. Watson Coleman. Jeffries. Weber of Texas. Jordan. Webster of Florida. Jordan. Winstrup. Jordan. Westerman. Jordan. Wexton. Jeffries. Wild. Jeffries. Williams of Georgia. Jeffries. Williams of New York. Jordan. Williams of Texas. Jordan. Wilson of Florida.
How many votes left? Just a few. We're
Jeffries.
getting to the bottom here. So if you add up the Republican votes,
Wilson of South Carolina.
to 210,
Jordan.
Democrats at 211. Only a few more to
Whitman.
go. And then maybe some people were out of the
Jordan.
room. They'll have the vote at the end.
Womack. Scalise.
That's another one. Womack. You'll find out how I vote when we get to the floor. He's a holdout.
Yakum.
Jordan's got to pick
Jordan.
off more than 10,
Zinke.
11, 12. He needs to get 12 people to cross.
Jordan.
Switch pens, you know. All right, so I have 199, 210.
Betsy Burns says there shouldn't be any deals at this point. Things are too serious right now, and America and the American people need the Republicans to get their job done and stop this crap. Well, if they didn't have the votes to replace Speaker McCarthy, maybe they should have thought twice about that. That's the consequence. The actions have consequences, Betsy. So we don't know what the outcome is going to be right now, but as of right now, Jim Jordan does not have the votes. They haven't gavelled this yet. So right now it's Hakeem Jeffries with 211 votes, Jim Jordan with 199 votes, and other 16. I can break that down for you. That is 5 for Kevin McCarthy, 3 for Lee Zeldin, 7 for Steve Scalise. Steve Scalise got more than Kevin McCarthy. So you got some Scalise holdouts there. You got some votes, kind of token votes for Zeldin and somebody named Garcia. So 10, that's 11 right there. And then you have 5 holdouts for Kevin McCarthy. So between the Scalise and the McCarthy, if I'm Steve Scalise, I talk to the 7 members that voted for me. If I'm Kevin McCarthy, I talk to the 5 members that voted for me. Here's McHenry. They're
The
gaveling.
House will come to order. The reading clerk will now call the names of the members who did not answer the first call of the roll.
Bilirakis. Bilirakis. Buck. Emmer.
Ken Buck. Someone's asking about Ken Buck. Voted for Tom Emmer. So Ken Buck's conversation with Jim Jordan last night was unsuccessful from Jordan's point of view of persuading him to support Jim Jordan. for Speaker.
Cardenas. Jeffries.
All right, let me get to one more on that one. We have Mr. James.
James. Cole.
James. Was that John James voting for Cole?
Mr. Joyce of Ohio.
You could have some jockeying going on here. So if somebody wants to be
Joyce of
speaker, they
Ohio.
say vote against Jordan on the
Jordan.
floor, and then I'll make you deputies in my new administration of the House. So you could have some people who are like, I could be speaker. Let's go back to conference.
LaMalfa.
We'll see what leadership does about that.
McCarthy.
More holdouts. Now you're up to 19 people who held out to the end to see if their vote would matter or not, and they say, "Oh, my vote doesn't matter. I'm going to cast a kind of a useless vote in my view for some token candidate."
Sparts. Massey.
So Victoria Sparts, she was another holdout. Was it anywhere from 10 to 20 was the prediction. Here you go. You got 20 holdouts on the first ballot. I think there's only one more person.
All right, so we have 212, 200, and then we have 6 for McCarthy, we have 3 for Zeldin, we have 7 for Scalise, we have 1 for Mike Garcia, California, 1 for Amber, 1 for
Little audible microphone there as they're tallying up. But no, the House of Representatives is still too close to call. We're still counting the votes from 2022. We don't know if Republicans have a majority. Right now, they don't have a majority. There is no majority. The House cannot function without a speaker. You have a speaker pro tem right now, and that's Patrick McHenry, head of the House Finance Committee. But if Jim Jordan gets the votes, then Jim Jordan will be speaker. On the other hand, you could have a situation where holdouts just incontrovertibly are not going to support. There's always going to be holdouts on the Republican side now because the precedent has been set. Is it like Humpty Dumpty? You have a Humpty Dumpty majority. It has a big fall. And then all the king's horses and all the king's men cannot put the majority back together again. Can Jim Jordan put the majority back together? So there's Kevin McCarthy. He's speaking with his people. There's Tom Emmer talking about what to do next. There's Jim Jordan. So they got to go. They're going to have to go back into conference and say, "What's it going to take, buddies? We know who you are now." So yeah, if you're, let's see how many people voted. So you had 5 for McCarthy, 6 for McCarthy, 7 for Scalise. So the 6 guys that voted for McCarthy should go talk to them. The 7 guys that voted for Scalise should go talk to them. Tom Emmer should talk to the one guy. Tom Cole should talk to the one guy. Tom Massey should talk to the one gal. Lee Zeldin, he's not in Congress anymore. But he could go talk to the people who vote for him. Say, hey, I'm not running for speaker. Why should we vote for Jim Jordan? He's the nominee. So now Jim Jordan got to 200. This is I wonder what Kevin McCarthy got on the first ballot. I think he got to like 201 or 202 or something. Weren't there like 19 holdouts? So Jim Jordan coming short of Kevin McCarthy's first ballot, but right about in the same ballpark. Not the same people holding out. So this is an interesting outcome. Again, psychologically, he gets to 200 members. So he's in striking distance. He's no worse off than, relatively speaking, couple votes. One vote. McCarthy had 19 holdouts to start, and then Jordan has 20. So, I mean, in virtually the same situation that Kevin McCarthy was in back in January. And, they made some compromises. Are they going to change House rules? Do these members want to have a different do they want to get regular order on the 12 appropriation bills? And get all those to the floor. What's it going to take to make a compromise? It's a really good question. And you have to make pledges. You have to make people be on committees. You might have to reorganize House leadership in some capacity. There's an open gavel for Judiciary Committee chairman. If Jim Jordan gets the gavel for the Speaker, can do both jobs. So there's some favors that can be exchanged. It's not like, think of it like trading draft picks in in sport. It could be something like that. Why don't we go to the chat and see how you are all reacting? Here's Jeffrey Hatcher. He says, this is the same old story. Left sticks together, GOP doesn't. Folks are starting to lose faith in the GOP. I have. Yeah, having a leadership vacuum can, kind of make the troops nervous, such as it is. I think that Republicans have their work cut out for them. Having slim majorities like this with only 5 seats is obviously going to make it more difficult to govern. Kevin McCarthy certainly had a heck of a time trying to keep that majority together, such as it was when they passed Limit, Save, and Grow. Those were the most substantial cuts to the budget proposed in modern history. Eventually, they got to sequestration. So you did no better, no worse than the Tea Party Congress or House of 2011 did, with John Boehner as Speaker, and Jim Jordan was the leader of the Tea Party. They got sequestration done back then as well. So Jim Jordan has a proven record, I think, of being able to push the House into adopting more conservative policies from a budget perspective. He's got a strong record there. And Americans for Women in Government, we are supporting Jim Jordan. Now that chaos is ensued once again, we'll see if they gavel out of here. They're just going to keep voting over and over again. Do you go back to closed doors, find out what people want? Maybe you test it and you see, are there still going to be 20 holdouts on a second ballot? Does Jim Jordan pick up steam? That seemed to help out McCarthy last time. That could also be time. You could have some members who are kind of ringers. They voted against Jordan on the first ballot, but then they come in for the second ballot to show momentum, to show progress. Oh, we're getting there. So you can have a few ringers in there who knew he didn't have the votes, and then they vote for Jordan, against Jordan on the first one, and they go vote for him on the second one. And then you're able to slim the margin needed, and it looks like he's persuading people. Something like that. I don't know. You're going to be held accountable for it, though. You could be primaried for voting against the Republican leader in the Speaker battle. Sending the link in the chat here to support Jim Jordan. You can send emails to your members of the House of Representatives. My voice is cutting out. What if we mute C-SPAN there? And then you can hear me. I don't mind the background noise. It lets me feel like I'm on the floor too. I'm just going to turn it back. Sorry if it's cutting out. I can turn up the juice a little bit. There we go. We'll turn up the volume. Turn up the gain a little bit. Thank you, Betsy. Here's David Massey. Effing fools, stop the BS and get together, you stupid Republicans. Yeah, they could lose everything right now. Again, history is determined by the outcomes. Matt Gaetz kind of put us in this position. I don't think he has a way out. But maybe Jim Jordan does. Jim Jordan can get us out of this mess. Matt Gaetz gets us into this mess. Jim Jordan can get us out of this mess. It's up to Jim Jordan. Just as it was up to Kevin McCarthy to keep the House floor together in the first place. It's a tall order when you have just a 5-vote majority, when you have kind of uniparty politics factoring in, plus petty rivalries. I mean, these things happen. You can lose everything out of arrogance. Because personalities don't get along. This happens in organizations a lot. Kind of tears apart at the seams. Makes it impossible to govern. Everyone says they want to govern. You know what would have helped this situation, though? You actually had a continuing resolution before the one that passed. That was a House Freedom Caucus proposal Byron Donalds had legislation with the CR, but it also had an 8% cut to discretionary spending, and it also had HR 2, kind of limiting immigration legislation, securing the border legislation attached to the CR. And there were like 20 Republicans that voted against it. And so then McCarthy went with a clean CR for a few weeks, and he got deposed. And many of the conservatives who were voting against the HR 2 CR by Byron Donalds ended up deposing McCarthy.
We continue to await word from the House clerk,
So
the
you
official count, but unofficially,
spending
Jim
bill.
Jordan
You
not
might
near
not
the
have the
votes
votes
needed
to even
when
have
the
a
speakership.
Republican speaker at this
Live
point.
coverage continues.
Like, this could be
The
the
House
end of the
come to order.
Republican majority. Dick McHenry's about to speak again. Let's see what happens. Everyone's quieting down.
The tellers agree in their tallies that the total number of votes cast is 432, of which the Honorable Jim Jordan of the state of Ohio has received 200 votes. The Honorable Hakeem Jeffries of the state of New York has received 212 votes. The Honorable Kevin McCarthy of the state of California has received 6 votes. Lee Zeldin of the state of New York has received 3. The Honorable Steve Scalise of the state of Louisiana has received 7. The Honorable Mike Garcia of the state of California has received 1. The Honorable Tom Emmer of the state of Minnesota has received 1. The Honorable Tom Cole of the state of Oklahoma has received 1. The Honorable Thomas Massey of the state of Kentucky has received 1. No person having received a majority of the whole number of votes cast by surname, a speaker has not been elected. Pursuant to Clause 12A of Rule 1, the chair declares the House in recess, subject to the call of the chair.
Boom. There you go. We are in recess right now. They're not going to go to multiple ballots. We can mute C-SPAN there.
The House is in recess, subject to the call of the chair. We'll see what happens if there's another round of voting today, but the official
I got to unmute. What's the start over? Ruth Ann Meyer Huffnagel, Jim Jordan is the man needed. Kathy Weiss, go ahead, a-holes. Let Pelosi back into power, you idiots. Okay. Greg Barbie, all these people that did not vote for Jordan, remember them at election. These Republicrats need to be voted out. These people are not for any of the people that voted for them in office. They don't care about any of us. Wake up, people. It's time for these rhinos to go. Here's BW. BW says, thanks for watching on YouTube, by the way. These people make me sick. Yes, this is very disheartening. I think if you're a Republican kind of activist, C-Phase. McCarthy was useless to Republicans as he voted more with Democrats than fight for conservatives. He's a globalist rhino Democrat. Well, I will say that the HR 2 legislation that was attached to the continuing resolution, that was being put forward by leadership. That would have been 8% cut on discretionary. I don't know whether we supported that CR or not, but you're supposed to take CRs, omnibus bills, appropriations bills, and you're supposed to put policy riders into them, just like we did the debt ceiling. You say, oh, we're going to do sequestration. We're going to cut $1 trillion over 10 years or something like that. So you stick those on a must-pass spending bill, but conservatives don't like to vote for must-pass spending bills, particularly anything with a big T next to it, a trillion. They don't want to vote for it, even if it cuts spending. So Republicans have a hard time governing on spending. It's a big problem. That's why you only get a debt deal done once per term. Like you got sequestration done in 2011, you got it done in 2023, but don't expect much else from a Republican majority because that's all they usually accomplish. Andrea Duplessis, don't be stupid later, and don't be proud. Good advice. Let's see here. List the names of the rhinos not voting for Jordan. We could do that. We can do that. Let's go over to, we're on this one now, right? Let's see. Do I go here? Can you see that? I wonder if you can see that. Let's see. Let's take this over here. There we go. All right. So now we can refresh. I'll give you the names of the Republicans who voted against Jim Jordan. And then please use the link in the chat to contact your member of the House. Let's see here. It's still the same names. Don Bacon of Nebraska, Lori Chavez de Raymer of Nebraska, Anthony D'Esposito, New York, Mario Diaz-Balart, Scalise, Jake Ellzey. Oh, he voted for Mike Garcia. That's the Garcia they had. Andrew Garbarino, New York, Carlos Jimenez, Florida, Tony Gonzalez, Texas, Kay Granger, Texas. And then there's going to be like 10 more than that, though. So we need to wait for the House to update its, the clerk of the House will post the names in full if you go to clerk.house.gov later, probably within like an hour, 30 minutes to an hour. They'll have the actual tally up. I don't think we're going to wait for that, though. They're not voting right now. And who knows when they'll come back to the floor and whether Jim Jordan will still be the nominee for Republicans, whether he withdraws his name from consideration or whether they're going to just keep going ballot by ballot until they pick up the members that are needed. So I'm going to let's go do a few more chats here. That seems appropriate. So we can't list all the names of the rhinos, but we got a few of them. Let's see. Ruben Alvarez says, Jordan is way too honest for the swamp. Dale Stotler, yes for Jim Jordan. Yvette Cavaliere, stop the BS and vote Jordan in as House Speaker. Tracy asks a great question. Why are they against Jordan, the few holdouts? Revenge. This is revenge for Kevin McCarthy getting deposed. And so conservatives wanted to depose Kevin McCarthy. Conservatives all uniformly support Jim Jordan. Therefore, the moderates are saying the conservatives do not get a prize for deposing Kevin McCarthy. So the sacrifice that will be made under that circumstance would be Jim Jordan must be sacrificed to even up the score. And at this point, you've almost deposed all of Republican leadership. If you get to that point, Jim Jordan withdraws, for example, because McCarthy had it and then he was knocked out. Scalise had it. He was the nominee, but then he withdrew his name from consideration because he can't get to 217. And then Jim Jordan, he's the next in line, I guess. But he doesn't get the nomination, or he gets the nomination, but then he loses on the floor. Now, if those three go down, then you lose McCarthy, Scalise, and Jordan. I mean, you're looking at a whole new leadership team at that point. I guess Tom Emmer and Elise Stefanik could try to go head toe-to-toe, see if any of them can get. But I just see it kind of breaking down into chaos more than I see it consolidating. You would like to see a second ballot for Jim Jordan where he picks up a few votes, and then that could show progress. But they're not doing that. They're going back to conference rather quietly. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. I don't have time to read through all these, so let's just go back to the bottom here. Joyce Renchin, Republicans vote for the will of the people. Vote Jim Jordan. Here's Gary Townsend. Real embarrassing when Republicans, quote unquote, control the House and Jeffrey gets more votes than Jordan. But embarrassment seems to be all the Republicans have going for them these days. Well, like I said, guys, be careful what you wish for. You wanted to get rid of Kevin McCarthy, and he's gone. But you might not get a Republican speaker after that. This is Robert Romano, Vice President of Public Policy with Americans for Limited Government, dailytorch.com. Please do send the emails to the members of Congress. I'll drop it in the chat one more time so that you have an opportunity to contact your representatives. There's more time to contact the representatives. There's the link in the chat. There you go. You go to limicov.salsalabs.org, support Jim Jordan for House Speaker, and you'll be able to send a letter to your member of the House of Representatives. And I thank you for listening. This, again, Robert Romano, Vice President of Public Policy with Americans for Limited Government, dailytorch.com. Hit the subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and be careful what you wish for.